Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, there lived a man named Donald who fancied himself the wisest of all. He proclaimed to the world, "I know more than the generals, more than the doctors, and more than the economists. Believe me, folks, I know it all. The little thing I like to call a brain. The little thing, little, a brain." Donald, with his boundless confidence, decided he knew more about war than the generals. "Putin, I can handle him," he boasted, ignoring the seasoned advice of his military advisors. They warned him of the complexities of negotiating with a leader like Vladimir Putin, but Donald waved them off. "I know more than you do about making deals," he said, as he embarked on a mission to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The result? He walked away from the summit empty-handed and humiliated after clapping for Putin like a trained seal. The generals shook their heads, muttering, "A wise man knows what he doesn't know." But Donald was too busy tweeting about his tremendous success to notice. Next, Donald turned his attention to health, declaring, "I know more than viruses, than the doctors." As a new deadly pandemic loomed, the medical experts pleaded with him to listen. "We need masks, vaccines, and a coordinated response," they said. But Donald dismissed their concerns. "It's just the flu, folks. It'll disappear like magic," he assured the nation. The result? Another devastating pandemic that swept across the land, claiming over 1 million lives. Hospitals overflowed, economies stalled, and the people wept. The doctors, with their charts and data, could only watch as Donald's ignorance led to catastrophe. "A wise man surrounds himself with those who truly know," they sighed. But Donald was too busy promoting hydroxychloroquine to care. Finally, Donald turned to economics, proclaiming, "I know more about money than the economists." He ignored their warnings about tariffs, tax cuts, and deficit spending. "We'll have the greatest economy ever," he promised, as economists shook their heads. "This will lead to a recession," they predicted, but Donald laughed it off. "Fake news," he said, as he signed executive orders left and right. The result? A major recession that crippled the American economy. Jobs vanished, savings dwindled, and the stock market tumbled. Even his own base, once loyal, began to turn away. "He said he knew more than everyone," they muttered. But look where it got us. Donald, stunned by their rejection, could only blame others. "The economists were wrong," he cried, but deep down, he knew the truth. And so, the land learned a valuable lesson. A wise man knows what he doesn't know and surrounds himself with those who truly do. Donald, however, remained unchanged, still believing in his own infallibility. But the people, wiser now, whispered among themselves, "Hubris is a heavy crown to wear, and it often leads to a fall." And they lived, hopefully, less stupidly ever after. Now, folks, I'm sure by now you know why I am telling this story. Because in recent days, Donald Trump has fired people left and right, people who disagree with his plan. The problem is, his plan is stupid, and people who know better are telling him or trying to tell him it's stupid. But he's not listening. So it's only a matter of time. Now, when I say it's only a matter of time, the question is, how much time does Donald Trump have? The reason I say that is because some people are questioning whether or not his health will allow him to finish the second term that he started. So we're going to get into that. And we're going to get into a lot more other things. We're going to dive a little bit more deeply. So I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's go. Storytime. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of, Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday indeed. You know what? Sometimes things are crappy, but at the end of the day, if you woke up this morning and you're still alive and you are breathing as we speak, that's a reason to be happy. It's a low bar, but it's still a reason, right? Because as long as we are breathing, as long as we are alive, that means that there is hope. There is hope for another day, for things to turn around, for us to turn things around, whether that's in a grand scale or it's in a smaller scale. If it's our own life, if you're feeling crappy about your own life, you'd be surprised the little things you can do, right? For instance, me. Sometimes when I'm feeling crappy, what do? I tidy up my office. That might seem like a small thing, but it matters. Those small things, they build up to bigger things. So let's try to take a bunch of small things and make them into a bigger reason to be cheerful, right? And there are some small things that are reasons to be somewhat cheerful, and we're going to get into that. But first, let me say hi to my peeps here. I see my friend Zelda is reclaimed her spot at the top. Welcome back, Zelda. Glad to have you here. Not sure how long you're going to be watching. I understand that she is going to hang out as long as she can. So welcome back, Zelda. Valerie G. Meredith Powell is here. Joanne Kennedy is here. Ness from Connecticut. Bernadette H is here. Taboo Forte. Look at that. That's I feel like I've seen your name before. That's a very cool name. Taboo Forte doesn't usually get much of a chance to catch BDD live, so welcome there. Let's see. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta. Did I say Valerie G? Yes, I did. Shelby is here. Queen of the South is here. Claudia is here. Did anybody see Simon? Where's my friend Simon? Is he here? Sharon Landry is here. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharon Landry, y'all. Jenny Rayner, of course. Asmila J, there she is. Okay. Foxhill Dreams, Watcher Soko. Stella Baxter, I don't know if I called you already, but Tina Bradford is here. Samantha Hawkins is here. Okay, Let's see. All right, I'm going to, Tracy M., a.k.a. Nurse Mitch is here. Mary Margaret Rachel is here. All right, without further ado, I hope I haven't missed up. There's Crystal Carter saying hello from Pittsburgh. Hello, my friend. Welcome. And Zelda, thank you so kindly. Thank you very much for that very generous donation to the show. We appreciate and love you very much. Thank you for that. The AVX girl, welcome back, my friend. Excuse me. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get this show a-rockin' with what I like to call our stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
Okay, so stories of the day. Right off the bat, we are starting off with a title slide that I'm very proud of today. Not just because of my crazy mean mugging expression, but also the trash president. It works on so many different levels, like literal trash, right? As in garbage. You remember not too long ago, he was riding around on a garbage truck. Well, that picture is from that garbage truck ride. There is also behind him the National Guardsmen who are in Washington, D.C. Maybe they were not planning on collecting garbage, but that's what they're doing now because Donald Trump is a garbage president. Trash. As I mentioned earlier, the CDC director, Susan Monterez, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She was asked to resign, and then she's like, no, I'm not going to resign. And then I believe she was fired from the CDC because she disagreed with RFK Jr. on some vaccine philosophies. And then also Lisa Cook, in a straight up political revenge move, Donald Trump also fired her. She is a Fed governor. And if you know what Donald Trump's history is with the Fed, you get an idea why he's doing that. So who does these kinds of things? Dictators do them. We're going to get into that. And who stands up to dictators? Antifa, number one. And two, real leaders, real fighters. And that's what we have in Governors Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, two of the heavyweights that we have out there slinging haymakers in the direction of Donald Trump. Let's hope that they prevail for democracy's sake. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, our top story of the day is that the National Guard in Washington, D.C. Is not really doing what Donald Trump deployed them to do. He sent them to D.C. under the presumption that crime was such an emergency that it required a heavy military presence. But they're collecting garbage and they're doing landscaping, for crying out loud. That's a misuse of our military assets. And we're going to get into why the hell he's doing that. And last but not least, of course, we have the dumbest Trump statement of the week, which is always a tough competition because he says so many stupid things on a daily basis, let alone a weekly basis. And before I forget, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button. The like looks like the thumbs up that I'm throwing up right there, and the subscribe button is in the lower right corner of your screen. Please remember to hit that. Thank you very much. Now, I have not this week written a new Substack. So my the same Substack from last week, still up there, and it is still actually pertinent. It is still relevant. It was don't let Trump whitewash America's dark past. There are so many historical things that are happening today as we speak. But here's another excerpt from that brilliantly written Substack. If you haven't read it yet, please do. It's right there. I don't know how our ancestors felt having fire hoses and German Shepherd dogs turned on them as they protested for civil rights. I don't know if forgiveness came easily for them as they nursed wounds inflicted by policemen's batons. But I do know that I have it better than they did thanks to their sacrifices. Sure, I've faced my challenges, but nowhere near what they've endured. So, because we've gotten past some of the ugliest chapters in American history, should we just forget it all, gloss over it, and let bygones be bygones? Should we acquiesce to the push to whitewash and sanitize our history so that white people feel less offended and more proud? Hell effing no. Now, you know that's not what it says on the screen, but I am trying something, folks. I'm trying something a little differently today. I hope it doesn't bug you too much. I have noticed that some people on other shows, like in Really American, for instance, some of those guys, they don't drop F-bombs, and they get somewhat higher views. So I'm thinking maybe I'm dropping too many F-bombs, and YouTube's like, no, he's too dirty. We don't want to show him to people. So we'll see if my thinking helps fix that. But another historical thing is if for those of you who are unfamiliar with the story of Emmett Till, it is a sad, tragic story, but it's an important story in the history of civil rights. Emmett Till was a young boy, I think he was 12 or 13, and he allegedly committed the sin of looking at, possibly whistling at, a white woman. Well, he was beaten severely, beaten to death, beaten so badly his mother could not recognize his face. He was beaten and he was hung and he was fined and he was also shot to death. So 70 years after his murder, a museum in Mississippi acquired the gun that was used in his murder. And that was an infamous murder. His mother was, obviously she was beside herself, but she insisted that there be an open casket viewing of her son so that people could see what they did to her baby. That's an important part of our history. And another important part is today. Today marks 20 years after Hurricane Katrina rocked the southeast of America, specifically New Orleans. New Orleans was hit by the by the hurricane, and it wasn't so much the hurricane. The hurricane, I believe, was at one point Category 5, but when it hit land, I think it had dropped to a 4 or a 3. But that wasn't so much the problem as the levees broke. So New Orleans survived the hurricane, but when the levees broke, the levees were the thing that were holding back all this water. And so suddenly, already, like, there's some low-lying areas in New Orleans that are below sea level. So those levees broke, and a lot of people they drowned. Their houses were just submerged in some places up to 20 feet of water, and people were trapped on rooftops. You can see in this picture here. Please help us. And if you were alive, I think that was 20 years ago. You recognize the sight of people spray painting, please help us, on their roofs. Some people were just up there waving to helicopters, waving to news crews, whoever would see them, please help us. And it was a dire situation. So I recently have watched not one, but two different documentaries this past week. One was on HBO, and the other one is on Netflix. And they're both about the Katrina catastrophe. Now, a lot of people who were, whose homes were wrecked, destroyed, they had nowhere to go. So where did they go? They went to the Superdome. And that was another catastrophe on top of the catastrophe that was Hurricane Katrina. As there were tens of thousands of people there, there were insufficient bathroom facilities. You know how badly that's gonna go down. But even more importantly, it was days and days had gone by, and they had no food. There was no structure. There was no organization. Nothing. People were basically left to fend for themselves. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember that there were reports on the news of looting, right? And it was really ugly in the way they portrayed these poor people who are basically just struggling to survive despite this disaster. And they're doing what they can. They had no food. There's people, there's old people, there's babies, and nobody had anything. They didn't have dry clothes. They didn't have food, water, beverages, nothing. So people took it upon themselves to go and get food and get supplies. And this is what they referred to as looting, as though there were thousands of people who were opportunistically grabbing TV sets. Where are you going to set the TV set up if everything is wrecked? If you have no house, you have nowhere to go. You think they're looting to profit? No, people just were trying to survive. So the news media was horrible in its coverage of this. They didn't fully understand. And I didn't understand either, because I remember watching that and thinking, oh, that's a damn shame. That's terrible. That's awful. They shouldn't be looting, blah, blah, blah. And only to find out years later, watching these documentaries, they weren't looting. They were just trying to survive. And the United States government failed them miserably. FEMA failed them. So if you get a chance, try to watch one of those documentaries. And I think there's another one that's going to be on MSNBC at some point this weekend. I'm not sure when. But moving right along, you may or may not be aware that Kilmar Garcia, who was accidentally apprehended and then sent to El Salvador, characterized as a gang member, a member of MS-13, because he had tattoos on his hands, which Donald Trump swore bore the letters MS-13. They did not. It was Photoshop. But he would have bet money. I wish he had bet me money that there were numbers and letters on that dude's hands. So he has been reunited with his family, but then immediately thereafter, I think right after the weekend, he had to report to immigration, and after which the Trump administration attempted to deport him. They apprehended him and attempted to deport him to Uganda. He's not from Uganda, by the way. He is from El Salvador, but they tried to deport him to Uganda, and the federal judge says you cannot do this. He has at least until October. And in October, Trump administration officials have to testify as to why he should be deported to Uganda. Now, here's the thing, right? They wanted to deport him. I'm going to tell you why they were going to deport him. Not because of anything other than the fact that they offered for him they wanted to force him into pleading guilty to human trafficking. And they said, if you plead guilty to human trafficking, then we'll send you to Costa Rica, where you will live in luxury, and there'll be no threat of you being put into jail or this or that, the other, and everything will be hunky-dory. So why wouldn't he take it? Because he'd have to admit to human trafficking. And if you're not guilty of human trafficking, why on earth would you admit to it? Right? So he feels like he's not guilty of human trafficking. So he's like, no, and go kick rocks. And so as a result of that, they wanted to send him to Uganda. So, I'm curious if the Trump administration has all this evidence to prove that he is a member of MS-13, that he's a terrorist, they've called him a terrorist, that he is guilty of human trafficking, hey, just present it in court, right? Isn't that what they do? Isn't that what our criminal justice system does, right? Isn't that what we still are ruled by? That's the rule of law. It's due process. Come on now. And due process isn't just for citizens. It is for every person. Every person, not just citizens. Okay, so speaking of hands. So by now you may have seen one of these three pictures. On the far left, there's a picture of Donald Trump's hand spackled with some type of makeup, some cover-up, really badly applied makeup too. It's not fooling anybody, right? If you were trying to cover something up, it's only drawing the eye. It's drawing attention to it. Then there is the picture in the middle, which is the bruise that they are trying to disguise, right? This bruise on his right hand. And the picture in the far right, those are his cankles. And it's just one of his cankles, right? So apparently, Donald Trump has a serious health issue. It says here, Donald Trump is currently battling congestive heart failure and chronic kidney disease. The state of his health is deteriorating. In the event that his kidneys fail, he may have to undergo hemodialysis. So, now, because I believe in karma, I do believe in karma. Won't make any snide remarks about that. However, there is no shortage of people prematurely celebrating and also even predicting his demise. There's one woman, a video I watched just the other day, who predicted by, let me see if I got this right. It was either September 2nd or 3rd at 10 a.m. or p.m. She was very specific. She said she had a premonition, and she said she gets a lot of these premonitions, and she's predicting, either September 2nd or 3rd at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. that will be his last day on Earth. We shall see. But it's interesting. Luciel is throwing up here. This is why he's talking of entering heaven. Fat chance indeed. Fat chance. I can't imagine anybody who has been as horrible as he has been. And it's not just my opinion that he's been horrible. It's not propaganda that he's been horrible. There's video evidence of him actually being horrible to people. Video evidence. So yeah. Joanne Kennedy says she's seen bets. Sorry. Okay. So some people have their fingers crossed. Yeah, there it is. All right, so let's jump into topic number one. Topic number one is the firings, the political firings of people in the CDC director. And yesterday there was actually a nice showing of support for CDC Director Susan Monterez, who, as I said earlier, disagreed with RFK Jr.'s stance on vaccines. Why on earth is anybody listening to the opinion of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose brain has partially been eaten by a worm, who found a dead baby bear and threw it in the trunk of his car, drove around with it all day, only to dump it in Central Park and blame it on homeless people? Then he sawed off the head of a dead whale and strapped it to the roof of his car with whale juices going into the back window where his kids were being drenched by whale juices. And that's not even, we haven't even discussed the admission that he made about the sexual, either the sexual abuse or sexual harassment. I can't remember which one it was, of his, I think, babysitter or, his kid's nana or something like that. Not nana, babysitter. Anyway, why is anybody listening to this jackass's opinion about medicine? He doesn't have a medical degree. He didn't go to medical school. That's not his area of expertise at all. But he's got a lot of things to say about vaccines. Vaccines have been proven to be effective. Like it or not, whatever your crazy conspiracy theory is, it's been saving lives. Does it save every single life? Is it 100% effective? No. Do some people who get vaccinated against COVID get COVID? Yes, they do. It drastically reduces the chance that they will perish as a result of it. It doesn't say it's 100% guaranteed. It just says it gives you a fighting chance to hang in there. Without it, maybe you might recover without the vaccine, but with it, you have a much better chance of surviving. That's it. But during a measles pandemic, it is the height of irresponsibility to even question the efficacy of measles. We had measles licked. we had measles licked. Polio is another thing we have licked. But in the age of questioning science and questioning vaccines, America might be in trouble. And Donald Trump is directly responsible. It's in his power to back this CDC director. It is in his power to back reasonable, responsible policies on vaccine. I mean, Jesus Christ, he took credit for that operation. Damn it! What is the name? Guys, help me out. What's the name of that operation that produced the COVID vaccine super fast? Was it Operation Fast Track? I don't remember. It was like some kind of operation that he's taking credit for, the COVID vaccine. Now you're running away from it. What are you doing? Jesus Christ. Warp speed. Thank you, Esmila J. Thank you. Operation Warp Speed. You do one good thing, you want to throw that shit away. Unreal. So, in addition to these two firing, so there's also Lisa Cook. Lisa Cook. There on the right side of the screen, she is the Fed governor, right? So she is not Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, Donald Trump has been very angry with because Jerome Powell will not reduce interest rates because Jerome Powell is not a moron. Jerome Powell understands that right now, if he were to do that, it would increase the likelihood that inflation will skyrocket and then a recession will soon follow. Jerome Powell helped President Biden's administration land the plane. Land the plane, it means a soft landing. It meant no recession, despite the fact that economists were predicting a recession to the Biden administration. There was none because Biden just let the guy do his thing. Let him do his thing. So now Lisa Cook, because people have criticized his desire to fire Jerome Powell, his next best thing is to knock off Lisa Cook. And again, he wanted to fire her. She sued and said, "You ain't got the right, biatch." He does not have the right to sue Lisa Cook. So she's taking him to court. Supposedly, he's trying to sue her for cause, but he has no cause. He's accused her of mortgage fraud. And again, that sounds like more vengeance than anything else. He's angry because he lost a court case in which the Trump organization was fined $500 million for fraud. Such a petty man. And okay, as we recall last week, he raided John Bolton's home. This morning, he revoked Vice President Kamala Harris's Secret Service detail. Now, for vice presidents, it's only supposed to last 6 months. For presidents, it's forever. But for vice presidents, it's 6 months. Now, President Biden, before he left office, had signed an executive order to ensure that Vice President Harris would have it for an additional 12 months. Donald Trump counteracted that and just said no. So that's petty. Dude, come on. You have such big fish to fry, right? You haven't lowered grocery prices. You haven't lowered any prices. You haven't stopped the Ukraine war, as you said you would. Why are you focused on taking her Secret Service protection away, for crying out loud? Jesus. And it's probably because she waxed that ass in the debate. And then, of course, General Milley, Donald Trump has had his picture taken down off the wall. Such a petty, small, vindictive man. Here's Valerie G saying, Spanky is so petty and vindictive. He's a pathetic, sad old man. 100%. But this is what dictators do. Dictators use their power unethically, corruptly, to attack their critics, to intimidate, to punish. That's what he's all about. He's not about helping the American person. He's about filling his pockets and exacting revenge on people who called him out for the shitbag that he is. Oh, man. I think I should be okay for saying that. But let's talk about two guys who are standing up, who have heard the call and are standing up to Trump's lawlessness. It's Governors Gavin Newsom and Governor J.B. Pritzker. So Gavin got in early, he got into this fight early, with the memes, with the ridicule, which is great, actually, which is really, really great. He's been basically mocking Donald Trump by acting on social media, by acting exactly the way Trump does, which is hilarious. The memes, portraying him as a muscle-bound thing and showing Donald Trump as as an old fart, showing himself as Captain America. And J.B. Pritzker actually has also been pretty robust, come to think of it. Like, for instance, when Texas Democrats decided to leave Texas House Democrats decided to leave Texas to deny Governor Greg Abbott a quorum so that they couldn't vote on redistricting, gerrymandering. Governor Pritzker put them up in his hotels in Chicago. Turns out he's a billionaire. So here's the interesting thing about Pritzker, right? I wasn't sold on him early on. When I say early on, I mean like a year ago. He hasn't been quiet for the past 2 years. He's been very active. He's been getting his name out there and making sure that Americans know who the hell he is. And this is a good thing, actually. He's a billionaire. So if you look at the tail of the tape, he's a billionaire and Trump is a billionaire. He's a billionaire with savvy political experience. Donald Trump also has political experience. I don't know how savvy he is. I know he is he's unscrupulous. So the question is, can Governor Pritzker match Trump's unscrupulousness? Does he need to? I think we Democrats need to start being more relentless and care less about how we look and just get her done. If that means play dirty, by all means, play dirty. Do it. Do it, because we're not winning any elections by playing by rules that Republicans no longer play by. We're not winning those elections anymore. We're not. Republicans have reset the playing field, and we have to catch the hell up and figure it out. So yeah, actually, I have a video that I wanted to share. Yeah, let's go here. Share. Go here. Storytime. This is a very, very speech made by Governor Pritzker here. Let's play this.
To the members of the press who are assembled here today and listening across the country, I am asking for your courage to tell it like it is. This is not a time to pretend here that there are two sides to this story. This is not a time to fall back into the reflexive crouch that I so often see, where the authoritarian creep by this administration is ignored in favor of some horse race piece on who will be helped politically by the president's actions. Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points. If this were happening in any other country, we would have no trouble calling it what it is, a dangerous power grab. To the members.
Yeah, media, don't act like this is a both sides thing. It's not. You know, the media has been horrible in sane washing, insane washing and normalizing Donald Trump's insane fascistic behavior. And yeah, oops, let me here we go. And it's got to stop. It absolutely has to stop. So he made reference to Donald Trump deploying the military in American cities. The next city on his target list is Chicago. Many of you, I'm sure by now, have heard Republicans use the word Chicago as a buzzword. Chicago is a dog whistle. Chicago means lawless Black people. It's not me saying it. This is how Republicans have been training American audiences to hear the word Chicago. Whenever you hear the word Chicago, they want you to associate it with gang shootouts, fighting, lawlessness, crime. That's what they want you to associate Chicago with. Chicago has been improving. I'm sure it's got its crime, it's got its issues, as every major city does. I know for a fact, growing up in New York, if you were to watch the 6 o'clock and the 11 o'clock news, right? You would think that New York City is, is a hellhole from the news stories that they give you. It's a fire over here, a murder over here, sexual assault over here, a robbing over here, right? So they run all those local crimes down. So this is what Joe Sixpack, Joe Lunchbox hears, right? Joe Lunchbox is not looking at charts that say, oh, crime is down in New York City by 30%. He's not looking at that. And the people on the evening news are not reporting that. They're reporting crime, robbery, this, that, the carjacking, blah, blah, blah. Sure, there's those things happening, but they're happening less frequently. But the people in the news, they don't tell him that. And this is what Donald Trump is capitalizing on, or he's attempting to capitalize on. He's trying to make the argument that if you don't support him flooding American cities with the military to stop crime, then you're pro-crime. You're anti-law enforcement. That's the false argument that he's framing. When actually the argument should be, I'm against military occupation of my city under false pretenses. Yeah, let me share another video with you. It's a good one. It's by the other governor, Governor Gavin Newsom. This is a great video, actually, this one here.
If he is to invest in crime suppression, I hope the President of the United States would look at the facts. Just consider Speaker Johnson's state and district. Just look at the murder rate. That's nearly 4 times higher than California's. In Louisiana, it's Speaker Johnson, 4x higher. I'm just offering this, again, you've not seen this on Fox News, so President may not be familiar with these facts. So I want to present some facts to the President of the United States, and imagine this is alarming to the President to learn these facts. Mississippi leads the nation as the #1 murder state in America. Imagine this in particular may resonate with the President of the United States. It's got a murder rate, it's 180%. 180% higher than Los Angeles. It's interesting. LA has more people. These are all per capita numbers. More people than Los Angeles. Perhaps the president could deploy the National Guard in every corner of Mississippi. And the fact remains, if the president is sincere about the issue of crime and violence, there's no question in my mind that he'll likely be sending the troops into Louisiana and Mississippi.
All right. So the point of that video, let's cut to the chase. It's, if crime is the issue, then why are you not sending the military? Why are you not sending the National Guard to places like Louisiana and Mississippi, where the murder rates are way, way higher than cities with a way bigger population? You have a massive population in Los Angeles, and it's way bigger than Louisiana and Mississippi, where the murder rate is 4 times higher. So why aren't you sending the military to those red states? Because it's political. And that brings us to this fiasco. Oops. This fiasco here. This is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., where Donald Trump falsely declared a crime emergency. Now, he has more leeway. He has, more say-so over what to do with the National Guard in Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. is not a state. So he is the executive in charge of the resources for Washington, D.C. So he kind of strong-armed Washington, D.C. into accepting these National Guard, which, by the way, other red states sent hundreds of their own National Guard to D.C. like it was some kind of real emergency. Why, if it's such an emergency, are these guys doing landscaping and garbage duty? Why? Why are these guys in areas of DC that are not experiencing higher rates of crime? They're not. They're in very low crime areas, including Union Station. What's the biggest problem in Union Station? Homelessness. Homelessness is not an issue that is unique to Union Station. It is a problem. It is a national problem. It's all over the place. But that's no reason to call in the National Guard. This is a misuse and abuse of our military resources. Military resources like this should have been sent way earlier, for instance, to help the people suffering in Hurricane Katrina. And, you know, as crazy as he is today, as much as he is, as much as he has lowered his own social, personal stock, Kanye West at the time, when he said George Bush hates black people, how could you blame him? He said that on live national TV. He was standing next to Mike Myers, who was just stunned when he said it. If you happen to watch one of those documentaries, you'll see that moment. It was pretty striking because he said George Bush hates black people. And how could you argue that when you look at the video of black people all over New Orleans suffering, you know, just they look like they were abandoned, huh? And then you hear the news people would characterize a white person getting food from a grocery store, just taking it without paying for it, as, you know, gathering supplies. Look at these hurricane victims gathering supplies. But if you saw a black person doing the exact same thing, they refer to them as looters, stealing. It's terrible. It's really terrible. And it affects me because I was bamboozled. Back when it was live, when it was happening, I was bamboozled. I was watching and I was like, man, look at that looting. That's terrible. I was fooled by the stupid mainstream media. It really pissed me off. Anyway, Donald Trump is playing games here with the military, and his game is, it's not just a distraction from the Epstein files. It's not just a distraction, although in part he is hoping to change the conversation, at least buy himself some time before the House is back in session next week. But it is also a plan for him to install military in cities and to get people used to seeing military in cities so that it's no longer strange. He's trying to normalize it, and we have to reject it. The fact that he is trying to put the military in Chicago when the governor of that state, of the governor of Illinois, has said, do not send anybody here. Governor, you know, it is up to the governor of the state. Republicans used to believe in states' rights. Now it's the governor's prerogative to activate National Guard, and Donald Trump wants to go over his head and send them in anyway. So that's ludicrous. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, Luciel, right again, total dictator, emphasis on the dick. Oh yeah, this one. Joanne Kennedy says, great job, Brownie. That was George W. Bush at a press briefing after Hurricane Katrina, where he was praising Michael Brown for doing absolutely nothing, for failing all of those New Orleans residents there. That was atrocious. All right, so let's see. What do I have? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in quickly to the stuff that I watched this past week. I told you about Alien Earth already. I'm not going to stop singing the praises of this show because I just watched the 3rd episode. It is fantastic. It's on Hulu, and if you've seen the first 2 Alien movies, you know the most terrifying things about those movies were the aliens, right? But in this show, the most terrifying thing about this show, it's not the aliens, it's the AI. And that's fascinating as hell to me. It's really fascinating. And damn it, I forgot to. There's a show that I started watching this week. It's called Upload, and I forgot to add that to this deck here. But suffice it to say that AI is a serious threat. It's probably more scary than those alien things there, because AI could potentially replace a lot of human beings. When I say replace, I mean like the jobs, for instance. Jobs first. You don't have anything to fear from Mexicans, from brown people stealing your jobs. You do have AI to fear. It's a very real and present danger to a lot of American jobs, and people are not aware of this. It's going to hit all of a sudden, and people are going to be like, what happened? Yeah, it's real. But Upload, let me just tell you briefly, there's a show on Amazon Prime, and it's called Upload. And the concept is that at some point in the future, when people die, there's a program, I guess an app called Upload, and you get to upload your consciousness just before you die. You get to upload your consciousness to a cloud server, right? And it keeps you going forever. It's basically heaven, right? It's just your brain in digital form living eternity. Now, if you have funds. If you have the funds to maintain your consciousness, you can live forever like a king. If you don't, they have something called 2G, which if you have 2G service on your cell phone, you know that's crappy, and that's what your existence would be like in the Upload afterlife. It's a really fascinating show, some good acting. It's a comedy, and I think it's got 3 or 4 seasons. It's pretty hilarious. I will be binge watching that this weekend. And another show wifey and I are watching is called Back to the Frontier. This is on HBO, and this is about people living like homesteaders. If you're familiar with the 1862 Homesteader Act, it basically said that that if you want to go out west, you can go out west. And this is a good message from Stella Baxter here. Before I go further. Stella Baxter says, we can leave messages on BDD's non-stream posts. Engaging on non-live commentary helps with YouTube's algorithm. Stella Baxter, thank you so much. Thank you for that. That's very... Excuse me, that's very helpful. Thank you for that. Anyway, back to this show here. It's 1862 Homesteader Act said, if you want to go out west and claim some property for yourself here, I think somewhere up to like 100 acres maybe, and all you have to do is you have to raise your own crops and prove that you can maintain your home, and that land is yours, right? So 3 families in this have to prove for, I forget if it's like 3 or 4 months, that they could do it. They have to live like settlers. And that means that there's no running water, there's no plumbing, right? They have to get water out of a well. They got to take a crap in an outhouse in a little hole cut in a wooden bench. It's crazy. There's obviously there's no Wi-Fi, there's no phones, there's no technology, period. And you just like living like it was 1880. And it's fascinating. It is really fascinating to watch the challenges there and to watch how they attempt to live. Great show, very entertaining. I'm all caught up, and I think we're waiting for the next episode or so of this. And that made us watch Little House on the Prairie. Now, for those of you who are close to my age, I'm 57, right? If you're around my age somewhere, you probably remember this show. It's a great show starring Michael Landon as the father, Charles Ingalls, and it's the story basically of the Ingalls family who were homesteaders. And I don't even remember ever seeing the first episode. First episode is harrowing, and guys, let me just tell you, it is a wholesome show, right? If you're looking for something that could potentially make you weep, that's the show. I was a sobbing mess in the first 3 episodes of the show. It hit me in the feels. I was not prepared. I didn't even know. I was like, what is even happening? One episode I tried to because wifey stopped watching at one point, so I was trying to describe what had happened, and as I was describing to her, the tears are just falling. It's a great show. It's a great show, and Laura Ingalls, she's the little girl directly to Michael Landon's left there in the picture. She's the one who ended up writing the book, Little House on the Prairie. And these women, these two on the screen right now, the one on the right is Mrs. Olson, and the one on the left, the little blonde, is Nellie Olson. These are the 2 original bad guys, the first 2 villains I'd ever seen, I think, on TV or movies. Real nasty people. Mrs. Olson was like the original Karen. And for those of you who are named Karen, who are wonderful people, I apologize. That's just shorthand for like really nasty people. Sorry that Karen ended up being, but Mrs. Olson was the original. And her daughter, Nellie, oh boy, horrible, horrible, horrible people. Horrible, horrible. And it was like, I see people who are like this today, and it's weird. It's like, damn, some people actually grew up and decided, I want to be like Nellie Olson. Terrible. Anyway, it's a great show. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly advise. It's available on Peacock. And then, of course, there are shows like this, Hurricane Katrina, Race Against Time. This one is on Hulu. For some reason, I don't have the one that's on Netflix or on HBO. But there are these documentaries all over the place this weekend because, like I said earlier, it is the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. So if you get a chance, here's one. The one on Netflix is called Come Hell and High Water. That's actually a pretty good documentary. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into the dumbest Trump comment of the week. And it was this one here. Excuse me. The tweet reads, Trump says he's educating people about wind energy, claims countries using it are destroying themselves, and hopes they return to fossil fuels. I'm pausing for dramatic effect here, just so you know how goddamn stupid that comment is. But let's go ahead and replay that.
My friends, but man, you're gonna have a bad awakening very soon. It's gonna be very bad. They're ugly. They don't work. They kill your birds. They're bad for the environment. And if you look at them from a house, your house is worth less than 50%. So I'm trying to have people learn about wind real fast. And I think I've done a good job, but not good enough because some countries are still trying and they're destroying themselves. Those are countries that are really destroying themselves. I hope they get back to fossil fuel because right now, Chris, whether we like it or not, fossil fuel is the thing that works. And then you can add nuclear with it and other things. But fossil fuel is what works if we're going to fire up those big monster factories. But
All right. If you've been paying attention for, I don't know, the past 20 or 30 years, you know that fossil fuels are the wrong direction to be going. Fossil fuels are what are helping to create these historic storms that are devastating. They're creating an increased number of these storms and the increased intensity of these storms. They're catastrophic, and it's because of fossil fuels. He still is pissed off that he lost a battle in Turnberry, Scotland, where there were some windmills next to his golf course, and he didn't want them there. He thought they looked ugly and they ruined his view or whatever. And they were like, "Nope, sorry, F you." And as a result, he cannot stand windmills, but they're good. They're proven energy. What happens if it's not windy? My God, there are batteries. The batteries, they store that energy. And it's so much stupidity and so little time to cover it. But yeah, as the leader of America, we can't afford to fall behind in that race. That is yet another race for clean energy that actually, strangely enough, I think China is somehow taking the lead. That's weird. This feels weird to say because I know they've been known as polluters, but what I hear is that China is beginning to take the lead. Go figure. So let's see. Brad Zook says, is he talking about his diapers and wind? Lynn B says, he's nuking futs. I see what you did there. They transposed the first letter. Valerie G says, the windbag says, learn about wind. Yes. Stella Baxter says, and fossil fuels are running out. Wait till they find out. Okay, so questions. Does anybody have questions for BDD? Let's have it because I'm here for another 2 minutes and then I'm getting my Friday night on with the pizza and the movies. Oh, by the way, wifey suggested that because I love movies and TV so much, and I really do enjoy doing that as part of this show, I'm thinking about taking that part out of the show and just doing a separate thing just for like TV, just to review TV shows that I watch, because I do watch so many of the TV and movies, actually. So I would love to get your feedback, guys. If you have ideas for just like the name of a show, because I've been thinking if I were going to do this, I'd like to have something catchy. I'm not good at creating names for things, right? But if I were going to do a show like BDD reviewing TV, that's not catchy, right? If you have ideas like that, put it in the comments for today's episode, please. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Let's see. Rain and the kitties are doing splendidly. Rain was actually sick. She had a urinary tract infection, which we got her medication for, and she's recovering from that. That was scary, actually, because when she went to go pee, there was blood coming out. Scary. So we took her immediately to the vet. Kitties are doing fine. Sunny was the little kitten that we found last year. Sunny loves Rain so much. Like wherever Rain goes, Sunny's right there. He's constantly walking underneath her chin and rubbing the tail on her face and all that. And when Rain goes to sleep, Sunny's right there next to her. It's really, really cute. Labor Day BBQ. I don't know. We might. I love the smell of a good barbecue. We might we might do some burgers and some hot dogs maybe. Yeah. Oh, let's see. And am I going somewhere for Labor Day? No, I don't think so. I know yeah, no. Not really sure. I think we're just gonna chill out this weekend. Yeah. I could use a rest. I look forward to sleeping late. That was kind of cool. BD with BDD. I like it. But throw it not in this chat here, not in the chat. Please throw it in the replies to the YouTube video so I can refer to it later on. Please and thank you. All right, guys. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Baby. I ask you guys to hang in there. I know it seems kind of overwhelming. It seems like Donald Trump and his minions are flooding the zone with evil, whether it's like you're seeing videos of ICE raids and people being abused, and every day is Trump firing somebody and abusing his power and stuff like that. And it feels like a lot. Take a breath. Just take a breath, because at the end of the day, you can only deal with stuff a day at a time, sometimes an hour at a time. Don't take it all on yourself, because we're all in this together. So we all share the burden of fighting for this democracy, fighting for this country. And it is our country to fight for. So hang in there. We are going to get through this. The tide is turning, believe it or not. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, Joni Ernst is no longer running for re-election in Iowa. She's decided not to run because she sucks. And there's yet another seat that we could potentially win. It's not, the odds are against us winning a seat in Iowa, but you never know. You never know. The shitty way that this administration is running things, right? We could do something differently next year. The way the economy is going, prices are going up, across the board. Republicans are hiding from their constituents. They're not trying to have town halls. They're not bragging about the big, beautiful bill. They're hiding because constituents, Republican, Democrat, are all pissed off about it. So with that, I like to say I look forward to seeing you guys here, same time, same place, next week. I love you all. Peace.